Welcome to JagaVision, episode 137. Sherri Anne, welcome to JagaVision.
Thank you.
If you were going to describe Sister Speak, how would you describe it?
Sister Speak is a traveling musician project, indie, folk, blues, world all mixed together. And during the travels, I drank JagaSilk tea before and after shows.
So I guess I talk about resting, and I don't really know how to connect that to what we're drinking because I don't think we have a contextual comparison. Like, I don't know. I was saying while you're going to get your materials there, how useful it would be to have sort of a side-by-side context. But I guess just for explanation without really being able to taste it, try to remember this, what you're drinking, and that depth of flavor, that it rolls over the tongue, and then you have this really nice, almost like a pillow over your tongue, like it's just
Yeah.
And I think that with the new teas, they can be very aromatically exciting. Like, you smell them and they're just so amazing. But when you drink them, initial flavor hit is good, but then it can get a little thin or watery. And there might be a way to like change the way that I roast, or there might be a way to change the way that I mill that would bring out better flavors. But even when I wasn't milling myself, even when I wasn't roasting myself, I did find that this was an issue, that the fresh harvests weren't nearly as exciting. And even the farmers themselves would say, hey, like, are you sure you want to sample right now and not wait a few months, So,
well, this has everything to do with resting, because doesn't every tea rest a little bit and then the flavor develops?
mm-hmm. But it's to a point, right? It's kind of there's like, I think that we can get, we can, like, for example, the Rogwe, really nice raw Oolong, related to Dalhong Pao from Wuyi Mountain in China, is charcoal roasted, deeply withered, gorgeous tea, very fragrant, got some beautiful nutty cinnamon character, and it actually tastes better if you let it rest for a year, and you actually drink it a year from harvest. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Whereas tencha is frozen and then thawed and then finish fired and then milled. Once it's milled, I don't think it's good to let it rest, if that makes sense.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
But I think it's okay to rest the tencha for a few months. It's even more ideal to rest the tencha once you've harvested it. But you rest too long, and suddenly you're entering a world called oxidation, where you start to taste old hay. What I found really fascinating, though, is that we were drinking a cultivar, sort of like an heirloom cultivar, and Japanese heirloom cultivars are called zairaishu. Yeah, you probably recognize that from, like, say, Genmaicha zairaishu, right? Yeah, and zairaishu is they grow a particular form of zairaishu up in Mandokoro, that place where you and I went to hand harvest tea.
I remember, yes.
Yeah, and we were doing some spring cleaning, and we found some tea that was from 2018 that had been hand harvested, and it was sencha. So it's like, okay, there's no way that this is going to taste good. It's a green tea, and green teas are even more prone to kind of getting an unpleasant flavor when they oxidize, than, say, a crimson tea or one of those raw oolongs that seem to be able to stand up a little bit more. Like, you can even take them into like a year and a half, if not 2 years sometimes, for some crimson teas. We often say 1.5 years for our expiry dates on our crimsons, but you can take them a bit further. I wouldn't go past 2 years myself on most crimsons. Most greens, though, like, some people say you only have 8 months. Like, it's a very short window, especially on the more fragile teas, like a Blue Ocean or something, where it's all like tiny bud.
Did we talk about the taste of this after it's been made yet?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I just wanted, I would like to hear more on that topic. I just want to know that.
On this monologue, yeah. What are you tasting?
Well, I'm tasting a really sweet and like full flavor, and then at the end there's like a bitter that kicks in.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's it makes me want a date at the end.
You should totally You should get yourself a date.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a date.
Okay. That's funny. When you go and you have tea, some Chinese tea rooms, they'll serve nuts or dried fruit, etc., to go with the tea, and it's a way to sort of interact with the stimulation of the digestive system that happens. So that's a great move, Cher. I was just saying to people watching that's common in some Chinese tea shops to have some nuts or some dried fruit to have with your tea. So it's a great way to still enjoy your tea pure, but have something else in your system to help curb some of the bitters, or some nuts will help. Like if you have some fat in your system, it's also helpful.
Mm-hmm. I haven't had a matcha without. I usually put a dash of oat milk in it, and I haven't had one for a while.
Right.
Without it.
So this is like the first in a while. Yeah. Well, I mean, the temperature becomes really important, and I know you're careful with temperature, but
yeah, I didn't burn it. It's really
but
good.
I'm glad you like it. No, that's cool.
Is yours bitter a little bit at the end or no?
I was tasting just a hint of it, but more than anything, I was getting much more umami than I was expecting. I find with these teas, I'm always expecting them to not be as good as they are. Like this category that we call Cafe Standard, I feel like over time, the selections that we've been rotating into it have been getting better and better. So I'm really proud of that. And they're getting more and more close to our reserve selections, which cost us a lot more. So it's kind of funny.
I can't believe how good this is. Like this to me is like amazing. I mean, it's like full flavor, and I actually, it's unbelievable how well the date tastes with it.
Nice. Well, what I was saying is for matcha, being frozen, you do have a little bit more opportunity to rest the leaves and play with it a bit. And I would be interested in resting them. But the mandokoro story, where I was going with that, is that we found some 2018 sencha, and we made it into a tea, and it was so good. Like it was really good.
Wow.
We really, really, really liked it. And it was so complex, and it reminded me that there was a 1982 green tea that I was served by Eric from Cloudwalker Tea, and it was an aged Japanese green tea, and I thought, there's no way that's going to be good, but I think that this tea could be in that world where I think that a decade from now it'll still be delicious, whereas every other sencha that I've ever had in my life, if you open it and you have it, even 6 months after opening it later, you're tasting some pretty unpleasant flavors, like old hay, kind of like a almost like a rotten umami flavor. And I wonder how much of the sort of inability to let the tea sort of develop is a result of the fact that we're working with these clonal cultivars that we're planting. It's like, how apple trees, you graft on apples that you want to make into, say, an apple cider that you enjoy. With tea, if you want to get the same genetic properties or similar genetic properties to the tea plant that you like, you'll take a cutting off of the top and you'll plug that into the soil rather than planting from seed. And this will help to reproduce the flavors that you really like. But what they do in mandokoro is it's a wild scenario, or it's like seeds that have dropped over time, and they're hundreds of years old for trees. And once they get to about 50 years old, the flavor isn't as good, so they prune them hard down to the roots, and then the tree, after 4 years, it comes back and it's harvestable again. So it's a really unusual way of working with the tea plant, and the roots are so deep and they go so far down into the earth, and the snow gets up to 2 meters. So when they did try to plant tea cultivars that, say like yabukita or something like that, they couldn't. It would die in the snow, and they had to work with these old cultivars. But they develop really nicely. They age really nicely. So, so anyway, bringing it back, it's interesting how different teas allow for that resting, whereas some don't.
I love that. I do have a speaking of resting, after this long rest that I have, I do have to get ready for a little show tonight.
Amazing. Yeah, and I think we've actually hit our time. It's 1:39. We're actually 9 minutes over. Sorry about that.
This is very, very, very cool topic. Actually, it's very metaphorical. I love it.
There you go. Yeah, it's resting, tea resting.
Yeah.
And it does become relevant, but just I guess if you rest the tea too much, then it can be problematic. I don't know if that's metaphorical, but is it?
Well, it seems like
people? I don't
well,
know.
each type of person seems to have their own situation, like each type of tea.
Are you a charcoal roasted human? Are you a genetic copy of another human? If you're a genetic copy of another human, you're probably a little bit weaker. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, so we got to make sure that we're not cloning ourselves.
There you go. Otherwise, we'll get weak
anymore.
the synopsis of today's show: no more genetic clones of self if we want to be able to rest a little bit longer.
Rest the appropriate amount.
That's right.
Have strength.
Yeah, but charcoal roasting's great of self. Okay. Where are you performing? If somebody wants, I guess this isn't a live show right now. We're doing this in 2 parts. So if somebody wants to check out Sister Speak, where should they go? And is there any final comments you want to say before we say goodbye?
Oh, sure. SisterSpeakMusic.com is the easiest way. It has our tour dates, our Patreon, which has been supporting the albums and touring as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you on and to share this tea with you and talk about resting. But SisterSpeakMusic.com. Okay, we'll make sure people go there and check things out. And if everything goes according to plan, when are we going to see this acoustic album release?
Well, it has to be released before the end of the year. So by, I'd say November or December, it's going to be coming out.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. And then last question is, I heard something about a vinyl release, if it hasn't happened already, of the album that you just released this year. Yeah. Okay. You have it in front of you. Amazing. Yeah.
Pre-orders are officially live, and they all ship out in April.
Very cool. Okay. And that's through sisterspeakmusic.com? Pre-order?
Yeah. sisterspeakmusic.com/shop.
And then you have a Patreon as well, right? If people want to join there, and then you get some benefits. You do some performances for your fans and play some songs and sing some.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna put tea next to this too because it's fun together.
Okay.
Yes, patreon.com/sisterspeak. Just did so the anniversary show is April 13th.
April 13th. Okay. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck tonight in your performance, and thank you for coming on. And we'll drink some tea soon, and we'll talk about music and tea in the court, or our musical tea series soon.
Maybe we can do it together again this year.
That would be really fun. Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, that would be really cool. All right, let's talk some more.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. Bye. All right. So that was Sherri Anne joining me from Sister Speak. She is my sister as well, so there's a little bit of nepotism there, but I'm very proud of her. She's got multiple studio albums, career musician, travels the world. She did a festival in Germany last year where she got to have some of her songs sung by refugee children, and was able to sort of bring some attention to the refugee crisis. And she was able to do a magnificent tour in support of her new album. If you haven't heard her, you should go check her out. Sister Speak Music is streaming on Apple Music and Spotify and all your favorite streaming services. She also helped me get my album out there to the world in terms of digital distribution. So stoked about that. You can check out my work at truthanddolphin.com. Appreciate you watching today, talking about tea resting and genetic cloning. I'm Jared Nyberg. I am co-owner of JagaSilk. Appreciate you watching today. Have a wonderful day. Take care.
My heart begins to thaw. The tears I did not cry accepted. The pain, it is behind me. The future, it shines effervescent. My dreams, they always guide me. The lessons we learn, they make no sense.